I'm Linda Kerber. I am liberated from teaching at the University of Iowa, where I taught in the history department and the College of Law since one way or another, 1971.
All right. At the panel just now, you were making the point that you want professors, teachers, to require their students to memorize the 14th Amendment. Why?
Well, I asked them to memorize the first section of the 14th Amendment. And the way it started was many years ago. I was teaching Amy Swerdlow's book, Women Strike for Peace, or a book about women strike for peace. And these women are hauled up before a congressional committee, HUAC, and some of them take the Fifth Amendment. And in my class, in the discussion, an international student said, "Tell me, please, what is the Fifth Amendment?" I look out at the class and I say, "Well, will somebody here tell her who?" And nobody will meet my eyes. Nobody. I've never done this before or since, but I looked out at that class and I said, "This is a specialized class in U.S. women's history. I can't teach an advanced class unless you know the Bill of Rights. So I'm stopping here. You go home. You memorize the first 5 amendments. There will be a quiz on Tuesday, and it will count. And I will not tell you where to find it." And I walked out. I've never done that. I thought, what have I done? But I did it. And on Tuesday, I ran the quiz. And guess what? There were a lot of people who really knew the first 5 amendments. So I said, okay, and on Thursday, we will have another quiz on the last 5 amendments, and it will count. And guess what? Most of them really knew it by Thursday. Then I started to be aware that so many of the issues, the civil rights issues of our own time, hinge on equal protection of the law, privileges and immunities of citizenship, and birthright citizenship, and that they were not well understood. Particularly the promise in the first section of the 14th Amendment of equal protection of the laws to all persons, not all citizens. So starting sometime in the 80s, I thought, what somebody needs to be armed with after they've forgotten everything in any class I teach is they need to know that first section. And I started to ask people to memorize it. I get to the law school when I start teaching at the law school, and you know, these are grown-ups, and they're not going to take orders from a historian. However, I stumble on the point that when Thurgood Marshall was in high school, he was a pretty feisty kid, and he got kept after school for misbehavior a lot. And when he got kept after school, he was in study hall, and they made him study. What he did in study hall was he memorized a section of the Constitution. And so by the time he had graduated from high school, Thurgood Marshall knew the entire Constitution by heart. Oh, so now I says to my students in whatever class I teach, this is not tacky, this is not elementary. If Thurgood Marshall can memorize the entire Constitution, you can go out into the world knowing Section 1 of the 14th Amendment with punctuation. And they did. And that, at the point at which I stopped teaching, continued to be a historian, but stopped teaching, I thought, if that's what I've done for the improvement of American education in the mind. And I regard it as serious. We laugh about it a lot, but I hear repeatedly that people who have been my students are now asking their students to memorize it. And now as we face challenges to birthright citizenship and to the grounding of nationality, so that we don't make castes who don't have solid connection, that section becomes ever more important, and it's an easy gesture, and I recommend it.
You mentioned in there that you'd want Rand Paul to understand that it says person, not citizen. Why?
Well, what the people who want to tinker with the 14th, want to amend the 14th Amendment, instead of saying all persons born are citizens in the United States, are citizens of the United States and the state in which they live, they want to say, well, all persons born to legal citizens, to people who have the right papers are citizens. And what that would mean is that at the point of a child, let us say, entering kindergarten, we now have to offer proof of age. We do not have to offer proof of citizenship to enter the public school system. So if we went with what they are doing, we would have a pass system instantly in which some children were citizens at birth and had papers to prove it, and some citizens were not. Now, if their families came from nations where the child inherited their nationality from their parents, or one parent, wherever that parent happened to be, then the child would have another nationality. But if countries have wildly various rules about nationality, and if we threw them open to that variation, there would be born in the United States large numbers of children who would themselves be stateless. Now, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 13, 14, and 15, it's 15 that says every person is entitled to a nationality. We do many things that I believe are mistakes, but we do not contribute largely to the great growth of the millions of people now who have uncertain nationality and unstable nationality. In many countries in the world, nationality proceeds through the father's line. In some countries, it proceeds through the mother. This leads to a lot of uncertainty, and here we've got something stable and good, and I'm very afraid that it will need to stabilize.
Thank you so much.